Hello, everyone, and welcome to a special online event today called Claim the Stages of Menopause as a Sacred Rite of Passage. Anchor your spiritual power through ritual, meaning, and profound inner wisdom. I'm Lisa Bunnies of the Shift Network, and I am really honored to be hosting today's program, bringing you Jane Hardwicke Collings, founder of the School of Shamanic Womancraft, an international women's mystery school. Jane, I'm so looking forward to our conversation. I wish we had met years ago. Welcome.
Oh, thank you, Lisa. I'm so happy to be here. It's such an honor to be presenting my work via the Shift Network, such a long-established, global, and well-respected platform.
Absolutely. And I'm so glad that you're going to be with us. And now we only have an hour and a lot to talk about. So I'd like to go ahead and dive right in. And then at the end of our time together, I'll share how you, our audience, can make a bigger commitment to your own transformation with Jane through a truly groundbreaking course. Reclaim the gifts of menopause as a sacred rite of passage. Anchor your spiritual power through ritual, meaning, and profound inner wisdom. And what I personally love the most about Jane's teaching is the no-nonsense approach to something that so many of us have been taught to feel ashamed of or embarrassed by. And I said this earlier, Jane, but I sincerely wish that we had met years ago. I really could have used someone like you in my life during such tumultuous times as a person in a female body, which isn't always a safe or respected place to be. So before we get to the core of your teaching, first I'd like for you to share, if you would, what it is, what put you on the path to devote so much of your life force to this really important work.
Mm. Well, it really is my life work. And this path into this work didn't begin with menopause for me. It began with birth. So as a 19-year-old, I trained to be a registered nurse, and then as a 25-year-old, I became a midwife, and I spent decades attending women at the threshold of life, at the beginning. Over time, I learned more and more, and what I started to see was a pattern. The pattern was the way that a woman experiences one rite of passage shapes the next. And what I began to notice is that women were arriving at menopause without a map, without context, without having been supported through their earlier initiations of menarche, our first period, sexual awakening, and every pregnancy and birth. So menopause wasn't just menopause, it was the accumulation of everything that had come before. And I realized this is not a medical problem. This is an initiatory problem. And when it's not understood as such, women suffer. But when it is understood, it becomes one of the most powerful thresholds into wisdom, authority, and life purpose. And that's the work that I've devoted my life to.
Oh, can I say it again? I wish we'd met years ago. Oh my goodness, what you just described is so accurate. When I first started my period, it was ridiculed. And then when I was pregnant with the first time, I was shamed. And then when I went through menopause, it was so very, very hard. So I am sincerely hoping that this class will help to overcome some of that and rewrite and I know I'm not the only one. So yes. So with me interjecting my own personal story in there, let's go ahead and move into today's teaching, if you don't mind. I'm sorry I took us off track there for a sec.
But
So
that's it though, Lisa. This is a cultural global phenomena of women arriving at menopause without the map and having had previous traumatic experiences.
yeah. I'm so glad you're here. So let's talk about what's the class going to look into. I understand we're going to explore a new framework of understanding these women's initiations.
That's it. So basically, even the fact that we have initiations is being left out of our education. You know, we learn by psychology that we have developmental stages, but what's missing is the actual rite of passage that actually happens, which transforms us from one version of ourselves to the next. So first of all, what this course is going to do is really just call out the cultural problem, because most women have been given a story about menopause that's incomplete. So we get a story that tells us that this is a decline. Menopause is a loss, something to manage or get through. But when we look more deeply, menopause is not a problem to fix. It's a transition to be understood. And so the framework that holds this is one of the most important things that's missing, is that menopause does not stand alone. It's not some isolated experience that we have to endure. It's actually part of the continuum of all the rites of passage across a woman's life. And each one of those rites of passage, whether they're supported or not, shapes how we arrive to the next place. So we're focusing on menopause here. So instead of asking, what we're encouraged to ask is, what's wrong with me? Am I crazy? Is my body falling apart? We begin to ask, what has brought me to this point? And what is this transition asking of me? Because menopause is the gateway into what I call the wise woman years. The wise woman, the second half of our life. And this is not just a poetic idea. This is a biological, psychological, and spiritual reorganization of ourselves. Something is changing in how we feel and how we relate. And if we understand it, we begin to recognize something's not being lost. Something new is emerging. The wise woman version of us. And all of this is happening because of the hormonal shift that happens at menopause. And rather than, again, see it as a decline, it's more like a reset into us being the wise woman, the woman the earth needs now.
I love this. I really genuinely love this because, in modern day parlance, basically when a woman gets older, she's a dried up old hag with gray chin hairs and basically useless to society except for maybe patting babies. So I love that you're talking about this being more of an empowered stage, even though we've been told it's the exact opposite.
That's a clue. That's a very big clue and also a pattern for us to recognize. So anything to do with women or the feminine that's put down, turned into a joke, feared, or even made into something that's invisible, doesn't even exist, is a clue that it holds great power. So if we just think menstrual blood, that's something that most people wouldn't even want to talk about. But it is something, actually, just a little side bubble. Menstrual blood is one of the body fluids that has the most stem cells in it. So it's actually quite an elixir that no doubt we will be seeing all kinds of things about wanting to use menstrual blood. I mean, it's already happening for stem cells. And then childbirth. Childbirth is so feared by so many people. Even the practitioners who dedicate their lives to help women through it bring a lot of fear. And fear does not help birth. It actually hinders it. And then come to menopause, and it's being now spoken about as if it's like a disease and it needs curing. So that's a clue. Anything that's put down, feared, made a joke of, or invisibilized is a clue that it holds great power. And sadly, all our portals of power, so our rites of passage, and particularly the experience of our menstrual cycle, have all been pathologized, medicalized, and in many ways weaponized against us. Like in employment, depending on what stage you are in your life, will depend on what kinds of offers you get to climb up the corporate ladder and all of that kind of thing. And depending on the support that the business or corporation or employment people give us, depends on whether we can live our lives in our bodies or whether we have to ignore it. So our culture is really not set up for honoring women's lives.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I understand that you are going to offer a shamanic journey. I think this would be an excellent time to do that. What do you think?
I think that's a great idea. And this kind of thing will be part of what we're offering later on in the extended experience of this work. So I have my drum here. I'll just get a little bit ready here to to start to drum. And I just want to say, those of you listening to this recording, if you're driving, don't do this drum journey now, because this will take us into a kind of like a dreamlike space, and you don't want to be driving like that. Okay, so what I would encourage everybody to do now is to get ready to receive this drumming, and it will be I will talk for a bit. It'll be a bit like a guided meditation to the beat of the drum, and the drum is going to sound like this. And I'll drum for a while, and I'll speak us on our guided journey. And the guided journey will be for us to go to our womb, or if you don't have a womb anymore because it's been removed, you still have an energetic womb space, so you can go there as well. So to begin this process, let's start by getting ready to either, you can be sitting there, or if you have the opportunity to lie down, that's a nice way to do this. But you need to cover your eyes. So get yourselves all organized to be able to do this. And this will help us access our internal awareness and inner knowing, which is something that menopause is really encouraging us to do. So this is an opportunity to see how we can do that. And this is something you can do all the time, because this is something that we feel rather than think about, something that brings our inner knowing forward, that this can help us to see and begin to sense the woman we're becoming at menopause. So the purpose of this particular journey is to go to our womb to meet our inner goddess. And our inner goddess is like our higher self, and one of her places of residence is our womb or energetic womb space. So I invite everybody now to lower their gaze or close their eyes and put your hand over your womb. So that's the lower part of your belly. And that, as well as if you don't have a womb, remember, you've still got that energetic womb space. So put your hand over your belly. And I'm going to start drumming like this. And I'm going to speak a little bit, but when it's time to finish, I'll change the drumming to a slower rate, like that. And I'll talk us back. So just stay with me and follow my instructions as we move along. Now, with your hand on your womb or womb space, low on your belly, say to yourself 3 times, not out loud, I clear myself of all negative energy. Now, during this journey, which is a bit like an awake dream with me guiding you with words, there'll come a time when I stop drumming and leave you to have a conversation with your inner goddess just for a short time. Now, if you encounter anything that worries you or confuses you, all you need to do is ask it, are you for my highest good? And if it is for your highest good, it will stay, and you can ask it a question, what are you here to tell me? If it's not for your highest good, it will disappear. So just practice saying that to yourself. Are you for my highest good? And don't hesitate to use it, because if it's there, it will stay. Now, say to yourself 3 times, I am traveling to my womb to meet my inner goddess to ask for guidance around my menopause journey. I am traveling to my womb to meet my inner goddess to ask for guidance around my menopause journey. One more time. I am traveling to my womb to meet my inner goddess to ask for guidance around my menopausal journey. So take your awareness to your hand over your belly and take your awareness deeper into your body and access your womb or womb space there. Get yourself in there and call your inner goddess to be with you and ask her for guidance for your journey of menopause. You may see pictures, you may hear words or sounds, or you may feel feelings in your body. I will drum for you while you have a conversation with her. thank you. Plan to meet again. Maybe you're given something to bring back. Say goodbye now. And now you need to retrace your steps back into your fully present body right here, right now. So feel your hand on your belly and take your awareness to that and bring yourself back to be fully present right here, right now on this call with Lisa and Jane. So let's spend a few minutes now offering you the opportunity to write down whatever messages or feelings or impressions that you had during that experience of asking your inner goddess, your higher self, for some guidance around your menopausal journey. And of course, this can be guidance for something that's already happened that you need more information about, something around guidance for menopause if it's in the future for you, or some guidance for right now if you're deep in the experience of it. So we'll just have a few minutes for you to write down your experience. So just a couple of more minutes now for you to jot down the insights or the messages that you received. And you could always return back to this journaling later. Sometimes the way this information comes is with a bit more focus later. When you have some quiet time, you can recall the messages and see whatever arises from that. So we'll just finish the writing part now and come back here. So here we are again. Over to you, Lisa.
Right. Thank you. That was surprising. I did not expect to have the information that was delivered. Should I share it or should we move on?
Oh, I think sharing is always so helpful because then other women can think, oh, well, yeah, okay, I got that, but I didn't know that was a thing or whatever.
Okay, perfect then. Well, when the conversation first began, I was actually furious with the inner goddess. I felt so abandoned and so alone throughout my entire life that, this was so hard. Where have you been all this time? And she just sort of let me rage for a little while, and then I was given a hug, and then a message that was basically that this was part of my design, my personal design, that I would be sort of put into not a hibernation, but from puberty to now, this has been set aside, and now that I'm experiencing this today at this specific time in history when the divine feminine is starting to wake up and really needs us, those of us who are in our older years, to really show up. All of that energy that's been suppressed all these years is now available to me. Have you ever heard anyone saying anything like that before?
Absolutely. So, the rage is very common. It's like, why didn't I know? Why didn't anybody tell me that this was important and that I could prepare? And then the time of now and the need for wise women is so obvious, and there are so many of us. Here's a lovely little statistic just to really enhance and support what you've said. In 2030, so that's very soon, in 2030, there will be 1.2 billion menopausal women on the planet.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of us.
That's a lot of us. So imagine, imagine if we were all fully present in our bodies, doing our inner work, and showing up to be the women the earth needs now. I think everything will change.
Yeah. Yeah. A whole billion grannies.
Yes.
There's a march on Washington, the Billion Granny March.
Yeah. May it be so.
Absolutely. So mote it be. Wow. Well, this has been absolutely wonderful. Let's go ahead and talk a bit about the class, if you don't mind. Um, I want to make sure that everybody knows as much as they can before we end this time today. Once again, the name of the class is Reclaim the Gifts of Menopause as a Sacred Rite of Passage. And I don't know about you, but I'm already seeing the effects of it. You can follow along with us as we talk about it at reclaimsacredmenopause.com. Go ahead and type that web address directly into your browser, or you can even just click on the link provided on the event page here. And this is going to be a really powerful course. It's going to teach you how to reconnect with your inner goddess and to step into your power, right? So yeah, once again, the web address is reclaimsacredmenopause.com. And when you get on that page, go ahead and scroll down to the place where you see the headline that says what you'll discover in these 7 weeks. And that way you'll be able to follow along with us. And before we go any further, I just want to make sure that I say how personally delighted we are to bring your work to the Shift community. I've been asking for this for years. So
Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, let's go ahead and talk about the modules. Module number 1, the title is Understand the Cultural and Cyclical Context of Menopause to Awaken Wisdom and Identity where you are in the journey. So Jane, tell us a bit about that module.
Okay, great. So in this first module, we begin by widening the lens, how we see menopause. So most women have only been given a very narrow, medicalized story of menopause. So in this first module, we place menopause back into its natural context within the cycles of our life, the seasons of the earth and the seasons of our life, and the cultural forces that have shaped how we see ourselves. And what that does is it brings immediately relief. It's like women start to realize there's nothing wrong with me. I'm in a transition, and that has meaning, pattern, and purpose. And that realization just is such a relief and such a invitation to really show up for yourself and your family and the world to navigate this menopause with it in context. So we're looking at the cultural and cyclical context of menopause. It's so important.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, then let's move on to module 2. That one is called Explore the Red Thread of Your Ancestral Lineage to Heal Patterns and Reclaim Inner Strength. What's that one about?
Well, what an invitation and what an important thing for us to be doing, because what we do here is we move into our red thread, which is our maternal lineage. So our mother line, our female ancestry, that we have a connection to whether we realize it or not, or whether we want it or not. Because none of us arrive to menopause alone. We carry the stories, the beliefs, the unresolved experiences of the women who came before us. So our mothers behind us, our grandmothers behind them, our great-grandmothers, all the way back. And in this module number 2, we begin to see what we've inherited from them. So therefore, what we are carrying, and that shows us what we're ready to release and reclaim. And that it's in this attention to this detail that a lot of healing happens.
Okay. I'm personally looking forward to that one. I love ancestral healing. It is absolutely my jam. So yay. I'm glad we're focusing on that one. So module 3 is called Map Your Life's Rites of Passage to Gain Clarity on Your Journey and Transformation.
Yeah, so, funny that everything's connected, but that's not what we're led to believe in this culture where we look at our lives and see these random events that have been medicalized. But what we do in this session of Map Your Life's Rites of Passage is we map our life through the lens of the rites of passage, which is a particular way of looking at things. And this is not something new. This deeply traditional and ancient. Rites of passage have happened through all cultures forever. They mark the end of something and the beginning of something. So we will look at menarche, our first period, our sexual initiation, childbirth, loss, all of the key thresholds that have shaped who we are. Like, that's why we are the way we are, because of the experiences we've had. So menopause is not separate from them, it's the continuation of them. And when we can see our lives as a coherent story, then a profound sense of clarity and self-understanding emerges.
All right. Okay, we're building here. This is wonderful. Module 4 is uncover your menstrual story to transform the roots of your menopause experience. You touched on this earlier. Tell us a little more, if you would.
Well, our menstrual cycle, which takes up pretty much, if we're a healthy woman, 40 years of our lives is how long we're fertile for, give or take, whatever, and depending on your wellness or trauma or whatever. But our menstrual story, our experience of our menstrual cycle, has a huge impact on everything, because our menstrual cycle was meant to teach us body literacy, how our body talks to us, and cycle intelligence. And in a world where we've been encouraged to reject our menstrual cycle, we've lost this connection to our peril. So what we do in this module is deepen into our own personal menstrual story or experience, because our menopause experience is deeply informed by our menstrual life. So how you experienced your body, your cycle, whether that was supported, suppressed, or ignored, all of that matters. And in this module, we begin to reconnect with the intelligence of the body and restore what was often never taught. You know, our menstrual education, particularly for women around our ages, women going through menopause or approaching, the menstrual education was kind of forgotten. And again, all to our peril. And it's at the menopause rite of passage where all of this comes up again.
Right. Okay. I remember when I learned about this, this was in grade school, and it took all the girls into a separate room and showed us a movie. So it was this secret thing. So, yeah, that's where it began.
Yeah, and with the fear embedded into us of getting pregnant.
Yes. Yes.
Nothing really much about the menstrual cycle, just the fear of getting pregnant.
Right, right. Absolutely. Wow. Well, let's keep going here. Module 5 is identify your menopausal gifts and step into a deeper sense of purpose.
Imagine that. So that's so countercultural, that there would be a deeper sense of purpose and that menopause has a purpose in and of herself. Because what we do here in this module, this is where something really shifts. Because instead of focusing on what's difficult, we begin to ask of ourselves, what have I learned? What have I lived? What has been harvested or can be harvested from my life so far? And women start to recognize their gifts, their wisdom, their authority, and sometimes for the first time in their adult life. And that naturally begins to orient women towards their purpose. So for many women at menopause, a mission emerges, and that gives so much purpose and meaning to life, which is often what's lacking, and especially in this patriarchal culture. And then the physiological reset that happens through menopause on a body and brain and physiological level offers many gifts. It's like there's like an up leveling of us when we come into our power. So we'll reclaim all of those gifts, and therefore be able to begin to notice just how much we've changed or are changing, or how much our beingness wants us to change, needs us to change, to heal all the unhealed parts of us so we can show up fully aware, fully embodied, and fully present to be this wise woman.
Wow. All right. Well, then module 6 is cultivate holistic well-being to support balance, vitality, and inner stability. Tell us more.
So this is when we bring it into the body and daily life, because this transition asks for a different way of caring for ourselves. Like, I remember, one of the women when in one of my classes saying, "Oh, I get it. I can't live on my children's leftover meals anymore. I actually need to look after myself and feed myself." So even just that kind of basic stuff, it's so important because so in this session we will look at the practices that support the nervous system, emotional balance, and physical well-being. So not as quick fixes. There's no quick fixes here. There's sustainable ways of living that align us with this stage of life. And it's different to all the other stages. It's the autumn or fall of our lives, which is very different to the spring and the summer. Equally as important, and actually the time in our lives when we get the feedback for our lives lived so far. So this module gives us sustainable ways of living that align with this stage of life, and this brings a sense of stability and groundedness.
Right, beautiful. Well, let's bring it home with Module 7, Honor Your Transformation Through Ceremony to Integrate Wisdom and Embody Your Next Chapter.
So this final session is a ceremony where we bring it all together, because menopause is a threshold and thresholds need to be marked. So this is about consciously recognizing who you have been and who you are becoming, and stepping into that next chapter with awareness and with intention. Not just landing splat, but arriving with intention and awareness. And then that anchors the transformation. It's actually something that happens that we don't just go through. It's a process that we become the new version of ourselves.
That is so beautifully stated. Instead of just ending up here, we are actually making a choice and stepping into our power. Is that accurate?
That's it, and it's new, it's different because of the hormonal changes that happen. We are different, and that doesn't mean we're broken or that it's a problem. We change because that's nothing new either, because we've changed after every rite of passage that we've experienced. That's what happens in a rite of passage. We change from the previous version of ourselves to the next version of ourselves, never to return to that previous version. And so this is something to welcome and honor, not to feel fearful about. It's going to happen whether you want it to or not.
Yes, absolutely. If you make it this long, if you're lucky enough to be here, you might as well enjoy it, right?
Well, that's it, Lisa. We live in this culture that's so down on aging, but what we really need to remember is that it's a privilege to age. There's absolutely no guarantee that any of us are going to make it to menopause. But if we do, it's such an incredible transformational experience that I feel we have the responsibility to be with all our intention and awareness.
Absolutely. All right. Well, once again, I want to give that web address again, just in case somebody's watching this and missed the part where I said it before. It's reclaimsacredmenopause.com. And I'd like to share just a little bit about the class, just in case you're new to Shift Network and you don't know how it works. You will receive 7 90-minute live sessions with Jane, and that's going to include interactive exercises, Q&A time. You will also receive recordings of all the sessions. You have lifetime access to that, both video and audio. That doesn't end when the class ends. You'll receive full word-for-word transcripts to work with, to study, and to highlight if you'd like. There will be weekly exercises and practices for deep inquiry and action learning. There's also a private community group to support you, deepen your experience, and for you to communicate with others in the class, get to know one another. And we also offer small group time, once again, to connect with other participants. I'm sure there'll be plenty of stories to share. So when you go to the page at reclaimsacredmenopause.com, you'll also see some great bonuses as well. First, we are offering an audio meditation by Jane called Drum Journey to Your Womb to Meet Your Inner Goddess. There's also an audio meditation by Jane called Drum Journey to Your Shamanic Upper Realm to Meet Your Guide. And those are the bonuses that come with the program, but there's a special bonus when you sign up today by midnight. We like to do this to encourage you to go to the page, reclaimsacredmenopause.com, and really go ahead and tune in right now while it's fresh, while we're still talking, while you're connected with me and Jane, and have a sense that this is the moment to make a decision. So we want to give you a little extra incentive to make a decision today about it if you want to move forward. And that bonus is a video conversation between Jane and Diana Beaulieu, and that is called Womb Wisdom, Intuition, and Feminine Rebirth. So this is going to be an amazing program. I'm definitely signing up for this one. Again, you can find all the details at reclaimsacredmenopause.com. We've kept it very accessible. It's just 3 payments of $128, or you can save 10% when you pay in full. That is 1 payment of $349. The course starts on May 13th, so I encourage you to go over to reclaimsacredmenopause.com now, give it a read, tune in, and if you're getting a yes, then there's really no risk since there's a money-back guarantee of your satisfaction. And those course sessions are on Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. But even if you can't make the live times, as I mentioned, you can still get the full value because you'll be able to get all of the recordings, the transcripts, and still participate in the community. So once again, I encourage you to go to reclaimsacredmenopause.com, make your decision today. And I want to also, we do have a minute or two. I'd like to share some really cool things that people are saying about Jane. Here's one that says, by working with Jane in the school, I've gained invaluable tools and maps that have allowed me to heal the ruptures from my own rites of passage, which is what we've been talking about. As a result, I've grown into a more present and grounded mother, partner, and sister. And there are several others here as well. Really, I'm looking forward to this. I can already see the value in this. So, Jane, wow, thank you so much for all the wisdom and love you shared today. Do you have anything else that you want to make sure that we talk about today? I feel like there's so much more we could go into.
Yeah, well, I guess what I would like to say is that with this course, I've created like a pathway, and it helps women to understand their menopause not as an isolated event. So pulling it all together. So our menopause event is part of a much larger story. And we begin with understanding the cultural and cyclical context, and then we move into the ancestral line, the red thread, and then into the mapping of your life's rites of passage, because without that, menopause just doesn't make any sense. Then we come into the body, the menstrual story, and from then we begin to identify the gifts, what has been harvested, what can be harvested, what's ready to emerge, what we need to let go of because it's not going to happen anymore, how to flow with the changes that are happening, and then to see what's ready to emerge. And finally, in that final session module, we bring it all together into integration and the ceremony that we talked about. So this transition is not just something you're going through, but something you're becoming through.
Right. Yeah. Okay. That makes so much sense. And again, I don't want to keep repeating myself, but I really am just flummoxed by how grateful I feel that somebody's doing this work and you really get it. So I am looking forward to this. I wonder, I have so many questions I would just like to ask you, like how many women, like a percentage, how many women do you think have the same kind of difficulty that we've been talking about today?
Well, I think pretty much a lot of us, because without the map, we don't know what's going on, and we just assume, because we've been led to believe through our lives so far that our body's processes are inconvenient, messy, and need to be controlled. So that just all adds up to create pathology, because the menstrual cycle is a stress-sensitive system. So if there's been pathology in the menstrual cycle, often there's unnecessary intervention and trauma in birth, and then all of this adds up and comes out at menopause. So it really is a time when we catch up with everything that's happened before, as well as our red thread. So it's a time when due to the statistics of today, when there is so much menstrual pathology and so much birth trauma and handing over of power and control during birthing processes, that come menopause, without the awareness of what those experiences have done to us, changed us, taught us, because each one of those teaches us something, and it might not be something that we really wish we were learning, like that we need to hand over our power to the experts in order to ensure a safe passage. Like, that's part of the patriarchal overstory of the Western medical model that does not serve women, to be fair. So a big part of this menopausal journey for all of us is to wake up to what's been happening in our lives and start to make the choices that are helpful for us, not just everybody else. So we see a lot in the media and on social media about women awakening at menopause and not wanting to be a people pleaser anymore. So this can shake up everything around you because everybody's been depending on you. But the way our hormones shift at this time in our lives is that we shift from that nurturing of everybody else to nurturing ourselves and paying attention to ourselves, possibly for the first time in our adult life. So this can be shocking when your whole purpose has been about caring for others, but often it's been at the neglect of your own self-care. So it's kind of a reset in so many ways. So it's something that when women learn about menopause, their experience changes. In fact, there's some research that's just coming out that the main determining factor of a woman's experience of menopause on every level is the story she's telling herself about it. So we need to correct the story. It is not a disease. It is not a decline. It's a rebirth and a reset and a creation of the wise woman version of us. So with that perspective, everything changes.
Yeah, that if you don't mind, I'd like to ask another question based on that, because sometimes I feel like I'm so old, nothing's ever going to change. This is just the way it is. So it sounds like you're suggesting that it's never too late. Is that accurate?
Absolutely, because I think the personal growth and self-transformation and healing that is available to us during the menopausal journey and beyond is something that we've never really had before because we've been focused on others. So no, it's not too late. I think the menopausal journey of transformation just continues. So I'm now so my last period was 56 and I'm turning 68 this year. So that's 12 years on and I'm still transforming. I'm still updating myself. I'm still letting go of things that no longer serve me. And I'm still learning to focus on what I know I need to do rather than what I think everybody else thinks I need to do. So, that reclamation can be a day-by-day process. So it's never too late. I think this work often helps women who've already gone through the change to understand what happened and what was presenting itself as an opportunity of things that need to be let go of or new things that need to be called in. So it's great to prepare for menopause way before it happens, because then you're not walking in blind. It's important to understand what's going on when you're in the perimenopausal journey. Peri means around, menopause means last period. So either side of that, this information helps you navigate what's going on. And post-menopause, it helps you look back and think, wow, that happened, so that means this, and no wonder I'm feeling this and I want to do that. So it's meaning making and sense making.
Beautiful. Excellent. Excellent news. It's not too late. All right. All right. Well, so I encourage our viewers, once again, go to reclaimsacredmenopause.com, make your decision today. And if you do so, you're going to get that extra special bonus, the video conversation between Jane and Diana Beaulieu, Womb Wisdom, Intuition, and Feminine Rebirth. Jane, thank you again for all you've shared today. My heart feels lighter. And I'm genuinely looking forward to going so much deeper in the course. Thank you for being with us today.
Oh, thank you so much, Lisa. And thank you, everybody, for listening.
Once again, check out reclaimsacredmenopause.com. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did.
Mm.